I guess it's time to do another damn video. It's kind of hard to get motivated, but another year is about done. And I guess I should note, I'll just make a couple of quick quips about the recent deaths of Sandra Day O'Connor and Henry Kissinger. And Sandra Day O'Connor, all the obits seem to write that she was like a moderate. You know, this is how far, when she was on the U.S. Supreme Court, this is how far fucked up our politics is, that you can take somebody that was basically a Goldwater-style Republican, as she was, and try to make her into some kind of moderate. And, of course, Sandra Day O'Connor died around age 93, I think, this past week, the other day. And she was the first woman appointed to the U.S. Supreme Court. So that was a big deal when she got appointed there, after she replaced Potter Stewart in 1981. And she was on the High Court until 2006. But she may have been, she kind of held the line somewhat on abortion rights, but damn it to hell, she was on that majority for Bush versus Gore, and that is a black mark. Always will be a black mark, because the Supreme Court had no business in stopping the vote count in Florida. But anyway, she passed away, and then old Henry Kissinger, the less you say about him, the better. He should have been tried at The Hague, along with old Richard Nixon, for all the crap both of them pulled. And it wasn't just about Chile under, Salvador Allende and that being overthrown in favor of that Pinochet character, but also the crap that they pulled with Vietnam and the stretching the war out that Nixon did. And I've already talked about Nixon and his sabotage through third parties, the Paris peace talks in 1968. And Kissinger was right there with Nixon, dragging that war out for no damn reason, except Nixon wanted to get elected, sabotaged the peace talks in 68, and set up his own re-election by dragging the war out. But anyway, the good die young, I guess is what you could say about old Kissinger. And he was 100 years old. Then there were a few weird-ass articles that I'll say. This is kind of scary shit, and I've heard this stuff not just like in countries like Scotland, but also even in the United States, that little kids, boys, are listening to the likes of that damn Andrew Tate. He's that pimp, that horrible individual who has had too much reach on social media. And that is absolutely unacceptable. Where the hell are the parents? Just where the hell are the parents in all of this? Why aren't they monitoring this shit? It's getting scarier and scarier and scarier to be female. And it doesn't matter if you're in the third world, the first world, whatever. It's scary as shit. So that shouldn't even be allowed. Kids shouldn't even have access to that. And then, let's see, Catherine Acosta, I'm just going to put a little link to this, but she wrote a long piece today on Substack talking about how Wolf and WDI USA, how the heads of those outfits are missing the point again about nonviolent direct action. And it's absolutely crazy not to get police help or have bodyguards or something, when what they're promoting, especially in a city like Portland, Oregon, could wind up killing them. And several of those women that I talked about a week ago or so, but they had done that trying to talk, and there was like 10 or so of them, and they got the crap beat out of them by the Antifa weirdos. And they thought they could just record this stuff and upload it and all this, and show how violent these people are. But they're going to end up getting killed. And what good is it? If they're just sitting around doing this non-violent shit and being a sitting duck for these angry dudes and their handmaidens. What good is it? And there's a lot those two outfits don't understand about politics. That taking money from the right is one, opposing ERA is another, not taking a stand on abortion rights is another, not taking a stand on the need for child care, that's another. All this kind of stuff, they're asleep at the switch on it. Well, the reason they're asleep at the switch is because they don't want to alienate the right-wing foundations and the foundations organizations. They don't want to alienate them and get cut off financially. So that, yeah. Anyway, that's a good piece, and she talked about how they don't understand it. And then, let's see. And then this damn guy, and this was a few days ago. Of course, he's a big cheater. He's a big-time cheater. Maboma, and we've talked about him before, and how he's, see, they try to make him look girlish there, but he's a dude. Especially if you notice on the back, because that T-shape is the dead giveaway. He's a dude. But he was barred from competing like in the 400 meters and so forth. But then he's set to return doing 100-meter and 200-meter races. And I think it was the 200-meter that he placed second. He stole a silver medal away from a woman. And they're still doing this shit. These coaches in Africa are still pulling this shit. They're still going around recruiting these men and to get an edge. And it's a fact they're doing it. And of course the Semenya scandal was proof they did it. That they were going around recruiting these guys so they could get a damned edge. And of course the Olympics was so stupid to try to make it all about the testosterone levels and all this shit to appease the TRA bunch. And they just left a gaping hole big enough to drive a semi-truck through it. And of course, the DSDs, so-called, are way worse because they're actually than the trans, because they're actually stealing medals. But I've gone through that over and over and over. And let's see, he's been cleared by the World Athletics, according to reports in African media. And his temporary suspension has now been lifted, allowing him to compete. He's allowing to cheat. Shouldn't be allowed. Absolutely should not be. They're not female athletes with DSD. They're male athletes. He's a man. And then, let's see. That. And then, oh God, and this thing, I'm going to keep this link here, but it's, it's under a paywall. So, old Ross Douthat, or whatever the fuck his name is, he was one that was bitching and bellyaching a few years ago, and along with Jordan Peterson. They had that damn weirdo that was talking about rationing sex. Remember that shit? And he was peddling that crap too, that, that men, poor little men, are just having it so hard because they can't find anybody to put their dick in. So women are supposed to acquiesce for these poor little babies, so that society can be stable. Well, you know what? Men ain't cutting it anymore. And more women are seeing it. In South Korea, it's still heavily misogynist. And so old Douthit, you know, he writes his hand-wringing deal. And it's South Korea's now got a declining birth rate way below. And it's declining all over the world. Almost every country in the world it's declining. It's because women are having fewer kids, because when they were having more kids, it wasn't because they wanted more kids. It's because they didn't have any way to control that. And now that more and more women find they're having control over how many kids to have, a lot of them aren't bothering having kids at all. Or they're having far fewer. And this has thrown men into a hissy fit. Especially the racist types that think the white birth rate is just too low, and we just gotta con women into having kids and getting married, of course, even though that's two separate things. But both are declining. And marriage itself is on the way out. I mean, there's no way that's even going to come back. But anyway, he's just all, and here he's, you know, and he's just hand-wringing over something he doesn't really give a shit about. It's just, the thing is, we have too many people right now. We've got 8 billion people. But according to him, it's the wrong people are having babies, you know. And this is in Asia, highly industrialized Asia, and women are just saying no to them. They're saying no to dudes. And they're kind of quite, they're quite vocal about it. Now look at this. He's using the word birth dearth. That is old Wattenberg, and I talked about old Wattenberg, if you will recall, a number of months ago or a year ago, and he peddled that shit back in the 1980s because he was all worried about the baby boom and all this crap, and how it was going to be really hard for the country because of all these baby boomers. And the fact of the matter is, close to a fifth have died off already in my generation. But this guy is using that birth dearth crap. That's right out of Wattenberg. Right out of him. And that was a book was a crock of shit then. It's a crock of shit now. And anybody that peddles that stuff is full of shit. But this is what right-wingers can't stand. This is what they can't stand. Is not only women getting more control over their lives and stuff, but they can't stand that women aren't producing enough laborers. We're just things to fucking bear babies. Let's face it. That's the way men see women. It's just property and things to be used. A resource. We're not human. And enough women are, and I'm getting kind of, rambly here, but enough women are saying no to this bullshit of marriage and kids. And it is bullshit. The marriage especially is bullshit. I mean, kids aren't bullshit, but the whole idea of it, they're saying no to it. And it just throws men into absolute rage. Because they think every woman in the world is a thing for them. Potential thing to fuck. And have kids. That's all they see them as. And women are finally saying, hell with you. We don't need you. Even if you're making a lot less money than a dude, hey, we don't have to put up with it. It's not just we don't have to put up with the kids. We don't have to put up with a grown-ass man baby either, on top of it, who thinks he's owed everything. And, oh God, what a piece of crap he is. He says the distinctive interaction between the country's cultural conservatism, oh God, oh Jesus, and social, see, he thinks everything's a pendulum swing, I think. I think he really thinks it's going to swing back. It's never going to swing back. That train left the station decades ago, before he was ever thought of in the world. And he's like, what, in his early 40s? That left long ago. And, you know, declining birth rates have been the trend for many decades. The 1950s were an aberration, and they were an aberration because of all the population decline thanks to World War II. And all that stuff that was put in there in Europe and in the United States and elsewhere to get the population up. It wasn't because they were feminist or anything like that. It was to get the population back up. I mean, we're talking, what was it, 50 million people were killed in the Second World War? Really huge number of people. I could look it up, but I won't. I'm too lazy. But anyway, for a long time, the sexual revolution in South Korea was partially blunted by traditional social mores. The nation has very low rates of out-of-wedlock births, for instance. But eventually this produced intertwining rebellions, a feminist revolt against conservative, well, it should be, and a male anti-feminist reaction, driving a stark polarization between the sexes that has reshaped the country's politics, even as it's knocked the marriage rate to record lows. Goody! Goody, goody, goody. Women are actually saying no to men's bullshit, and they need to do it here. And they are doing it here, which is why men are throwing a fucking fit about it. Excuse my language, or don't excuse it. But he's all upset about it. But next time, Ross, don't use Ben Wattenberg's horse shit of the birth dearth, please. That would help your lame argument a little bit. Because he was full of crap, and you're full of crap. But I wouldn't be worried about it. The last thing, eventually, when everything declines, it's going to level out at some point. And it needs to, because there's just too damn many people in the world. Not just the wrong people, just too damn many people, period. And anyway... So that's that, and I'm about done blathering for another damn week or so. But anyway, I don't have much to talk about besides this blather. So anyway, I'm done. Bye.